Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight into education and teacher. So our guest today is Valerie Militello, and she's a teacher at the Saddle Brook Middle School.
Yes,
and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Great to be here.
Usually I start my guests where they went to college. So where'd you go to school?
I studied education at Kutztown University of Pennsylvania.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's go back in time. Let's go into high school. When did you start thinking about college? Was it freshman year, senior year? When did it all begin?
I actually started thinking about college in about fifth grade.
Wow.
I had a fabulous fifth grade teacher, Mr. Slavoski. Still remember him to this day. And he was a fabulous teacher, and it made me want to be a teacher. He actually let me do some of the things in the classroom. I was doing bulletin boards in fifth grade and knew I was going to be a teacher.
Wow.
I didn't think about anything else. I really didn't even explore any other avenues. Even, I think I would have been good at many things, but fifth grade.
Wow,
yeah.
Fantastic. So how did you pick Kutztown College? Was your were your parents involved? How did it all begin?
My father was highly involved in the sense that he gave me a couple of requirements. He said, you can spend this much, you can go this far away. And Kutztown fell into those two parameters. I actually heard about the school from one of my other friends at high school during lunchtime. And she said she had looked at it and she might be going there. I took a look at it. It had a good education program. It used to be a teacher's college, Kutztown Teacher's College. So that's how it got its start. I wanted to go away, wanted to live away from home. In hindsight, that was probably not the best idea. And I took a look at it. My father, my mother, and I went for the day. I loved it. It was, a rural area, but the college made the town, and I loved it. I fell in love with it, and
now, was it only one college that you had in mind, or were there a lot of variety of different colleges?
There were a couple of colleges that I looked at. I think actually two of them. I think I looked at a couple of Pennsylvania schools. I remember going to, I visited a couple of them in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I looked at one or two Jersey schools. They weren't. I liked the rural area. I fell in love with the rural area, and there weren't a lot of them where I was looking in New Jersey, so that's how I ended up there.
Gotcha. So now you're at Kutztown. Did you already know that you wanted to be a teacher?
Yes.
Okay, so
knew that from day one.
What is involved in being a teacher at the college level?
So you have to make sure that you're applying to a school that has a teacher preparation program, because it just makes it a lot easier. They have the whole flow from the teacher prep courses to, they'll tell you which routes to take if you want to do elementary. I'm actually certified as a K-8 elementary school teacher, which that certification doesn't even exist anymore. Now they're more specialized. But I had to find a college that had a teacher prep program, which Kutztown did, and it made it easier because they had a set up for what classes you took, when you took them. You had to go out into the field earlier. I think my sophomore year, I had to go visit some schools in the area to see if I like the idea of teaching, which is a good idea.
Yeah, sure.
Before you spend 4 years preparing for a career, and then you don't know if you're going to like it when you get into it. And then you have to do, of course, your last semester in college is your professional. You go out into the field and you teach.
Okay.
So
is that the process to become a full-fledged teacher, or is there other certifications or classes tests that you take?
Nowadays, actually, the students have to take a praxis exam when they enter college to see if they meet the requirements for somebody who would be let into a teacher prep program. We didn't have that when I went to school.
Okay.
We're talking 25 years ago. But so there was no test to get into the teacher preparation program. Now most schools have that.
Okay.
Once you take that, then they do a lot more field experience now, freshman year, sophomore year. They make sure you do a lot more field experience, and
what's the field experience about? Is it going to an actual school?
Yes,
and
you go to an actual school. You don't start off as an assistant. They do a lot more of just observing, getting a feel for things. I don't actually think you are allowed to assist, the requirements these days for people even visiting a school are stricter.
Gotcha.
They even to be a substitute, you have to go through a whole process of things. So just for the safety issues, it's less.
So what are some of the classes that you're taking in college that are required for being a teacher?
So you're taking some courses in curriculum and instruction, knowing about how to teach, learning how to teach. You're taking some educational psychology classes, so you're learning about how the mind of an elementary school student works as opposed to an adolescent.
Mm-hmm.
I teach the middle school, so they're just getting into that adolescent phase.
Yeah.
And nowadays you're taking educational technology classes. I mean, we took educational technology classes, but it was things like using an overhead projector, using a film projector, a slide projector. Those, we don't use that anymore.
Yeah.
It's a smart board or an Epson board, and those things.
And how do you learn all of that as you become a teacher that wasn't there when you were in school?
True. I mean, lesson planning, when I learned how to teach, you got a plan book and you wrote out your lesson plans. I don't touch paper and pencil hardly at all anymore. When I'm planning my lessons, I have online lesson plan books that I use. And everything's going Google these days. So now our district we've done a real push for Google, and they have a technology coordinator who got some volunteers of teachers who were interested. I'm the kind of teacher I want to stay with what's current.
Yeah.
I feel like the students value that. They know if you're current. They know if you know what's out there, what's going on, and they respond to that. So when they asked for volunteers to be our Google educators, I raised my hand. I said I'd like to be part of it. So I became part of a team. So now I'm a level 1 Google certified educator.
Wow.
So we go out into the district, and they have district Google days, and we train the teachers. So that's how, if you went to school 25 years ago and you didn't learn the educational technology, now the districts are providing professional development. And our district really did a big push for that. And a lot of our things that we do now are all online.
So do the kids get all of that now while they're in college?
Well, everything is, most colleges now you apply, you get in, you can't really survive without a laptop.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, that's part of the purchase price for when you enroll.
Yeah.
And you get that. They all have their own email addresses that go with the school district that access them to different things. A lot of them use Blackboard to access anything that teachers might put in there. I took my master's degree, and we used Blackboard. So we had all of our notes, we had all of our class information there that we checked in with.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So now, how did you go from graduation to where you are today? What was the process that you took to get to that point?
Well, after I graduated, I graduated in a time where there was a flood of teachers. Teachers were not leaving their positions, and there was an influx of teachers graduating college. So I found it very difficult to find a job. And like I said, I went to college in Pennsylvania, but was a New Jersey resident. So I took the National Teachers Exam, which is what they had then. They don't have that anymore, which it was accepted across the country. However, when I came back to New Jersey, I didn't have a job, so I couldn't go out and buy a place to live and get a job somewhere else. I came home, lived with my parents, and I needed a job, but I was not a certified teacher in New Jersey. I got my certification in Pennsylvania. And so it took me about a year of being observed by where I was hired from, and they had to go through the paperwork and process all the paperwork to get me a New Jersey certificate.
Okay.
And
so you've been there right from the get-go at Saddle Brook, or?
No. Actually, I've been with Saddle Brook. This will be my 14th year that I'm starting there.
Okay.
So I've had I taught for a program called Job Corps, which is basically a federally subsidized program for students who have alternate means of getting an education. They've left high school or had some problems with the law, and now they basically get an education, a GED, and then they do job training. So I ran their GED program there, which was a really good experience. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Then I went into the public schools. I worked in Elizabeth for a year, and then I actually worked locally, Manville, for 4 years. Loved teaching in the Manville school system. Very good experience. Then I met my husband, and he did not live in the local area, and I moved to North Jersey, and that's how I ended up in Saddle Brook.
Gotcha.
So I actually started, like I told you, I started off teaching or with a certification for kindergarten through 8th grade. And I started off with elementary school positions, and I wasn't a fit for me. That's the other thing I would say to people going into this field. Just because your first job isn't a fit for you doesn't mean it's the wrong field. You just haven't found your niche in that field.
Because it's a constant learning with teachers, right?
Yes.
You're constantly picking up things, and is it something where you have to get a master's degree or a doctorate or something to keep on going?
Well, in the state of New Jersey, it's not mandatory to work towards a master's degree. I have a master's degree. It was years before I decided to go back to get one.
Mm-hmm.
But teachers are mandated with so many hours of professional development a year that the district could provide, or you can go to outside sources to get. And like I said, I was always the kind of teacher that wanted to know what the latest and the newest and the best things out there were. I never was content to just do what I was doing every year.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out more and learn new ways to approach
But
things.
as an individual, you can go and become a master in education,
Mm-hmm.
or a doctorate in education.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the avenues you can take if you get those levels? Is it a principal or
It
a
depends
superintendent or
you
something?
You could. It would depend on what kind of coursework you took. You would need to, right now, there are a lot of jobs where teachers are coming out of the classroom and going into supervisory positions, not necessarily a principal or an administrator, but like a curriculum instruction supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of districts have those middlemen to help, because there's a lot of new stuff that's coming down and everything's going down to lower levels.
Yeah.
And so they need more help. So if you wanted to be a supervisor, you'd have to get a supervisory certificate. So there's coursework that goes along with that. If you wanted to be administrator, principal, vice principal, there's coursework that goes along with that. And then, of course, superintendent, same thing. So there's coursework, and then there's certifications. So
For each one?
For each one,
And
yes.
those certifications are tests that people
The
take?
certifications are, for supervisory, I believe there's a test. Administration, I believe there's a test. I'm not sure. I haven't gone that avenue. I've always wanted to stay in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Are there
but-
tests for the classroom as well, or no? Or it's just time?
You can take tests to be certified in different areas. For example, I was K-8 certified, but I wanted to teach middle school. Now my certification covered that. I could teach anything at the kindergarten through 8th grade level. But as the certifications changed, now they have a middle school math certification. So there's coursework that goes along with that. When I went back to do my master's in education, I got the middle school coursework in math to go along with that. I took the praxis exam for the middle school math and passed that. And then there's paperwork that you fill out and a fee that you pay, and then the certification is yours.
So is it something where this is just for the state of New Jersey? If you happen to go to New York, then there's a whole new certification, I guess, of things.
The states in the local area, I believe, have reciprocity. I know Pennsylvania did with New Jersey. That's why I just had to be observed and fill out paperwork. I didn't really have to take any more coursework.
Uh-huh.
I believe New York is a little bit different, though. I don't think they take the praxis exam. I'm not 100% sure on that,
Mm-hmm.
but New York is a little bit different. But most of the states in the local area, I know, have reciprocity. I think you just have to check that out if you're planning, move across country or down south
Right.
or something like that.
And how about international? Is there international opportunities for teachers as well?
Actually, I have family that was a language English instructor, and she actually went and taught abroad almost all of her career. She taught
Wow.
abroad in U.S. schools in different countries.
Wow.
So yeah, and she was every year at a different location.
So you could
So she saw the
basically do
world.
anything you want in the teacher's field,
There's a lot
depending
of
on what you want.
opportunity. And there are actually some places that you can go and teach nonprofit, but they do a lot of loan forgiveness. If you have, everybody's got college loans these days. Education is something that is not cheap.
Yeah.
And a lot of students are coming out with $100,000 easy in loans for a 4-year degree. There are places that you can teach that they forgive those years of debt.
Really?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That's
So
something
that's
that
something
a
to
lot
look
of people,
into. Yeah.
Sure.
Either even some districts in New Jersey, they give you money back, or they'll take money off of your federal loans for teaching in those districts, because they're urban districts that are in need.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So now let's go into the school year. How does the school year work, and what happens in the summertime with teachers when there's no schooling?
Well, a school year, basically, the actual school year for students, our students start on September 6th this year. Teachers go back on the 1st. But most teachers are in some way, shape, or form planning throughout the summer. Maybe they'll take a couple weeks off, and then they're planning. They're reading up on some new ideas or things that they want to try. Pinterest, Teachers Pay Teachers. These are sites that we go on and we get ideas from other teachers of what they've done. And we start, Pinterest, you start your own board. I already have friends of mine that I teach with that are starting boards for 17, 18 school year of what they're going to do.
Wow.
So that goes on all summer. School year, our school year is broken into 4 marking periods. Some school districts have trimesters. It just depends on the district.
And how about through the winter months with Christmas and things like that? There's stuff that goes on throughout the Christmas holidays as well?
Well, school, we have a winter break and we have a spring break. But as far, we have those built into the calendar. The students have about 7 to 10 days off.
So that's your time off as well?
It's my time off as well. It's as a job, you get your sick days, your personal days, that you are allotted throughout the year.
Right. So now in the summertime, do you see a lot of teachers doing other things other than just teaching, or is there like?
I'm doing a lot of things. This is probably the first week I have not been at school. I run a elementary tennis clinic for about 3 weeks in the summer, right across the street from the school that I teach at, and it's from 5th to 8th graders that sign up. I coach the high school girls tennis team. I'm an assistant coach, and so I'm trying to build my feeder program into that. So
Yeah.
I do that, and then Saddle Brook Middle School has an enrichment program that we offer in language arts and mathematics, just to kind of have some of the kids that are coming into the 7th grade program get comfortable and get ahead. Some of my 8th graders or 9th graders came to kind of get a little bit of an idea of what they'll see at the beginning of next year.
Yeah.
Just to enrich themselves.
Yeah.
To get ready.
So do you see a lot of teachers that do that in the summer months?
No, not. I know some teachers, a lot of teachers that I know work at a camp, some type of summer camp. I have some friends that are teachers that do 1 month of summer school, depending on their district. And then I see a lot of teachers that travel. I know some teachers friends of mine that I work with have spent the summer in a different country,
Wow.
actually doing educational work, archaeology digs, things like that. Interesting stuff, really. You have being in education, you have connections to those people who are looking for things in the summer. They know that teachers aren't employed in the summer, and we get emails, we get pamphlets, we get information to do those things. So we have people
now,
outreach to us.
Teachers usually stay within the teaching field for many, many, many years. Do you see a lot of teachers that do like entrepreneurial type of businesses outside?
Yes,
other than
I do. I think as you find, you love education, you love what you do, you love the kids, and that's a passion of yours, but you find that the 40-hour work week and the 40 years at the same position, people want more these days. They want to see more places. They want more things. They want nicer things. And sometimes you need another stream of income to do that. So a lot of teachers that are doing other things, coaching. Half of the staff that I work with, since I work in a middle school, high school, we coach. I actually have watched my husband grow his own budget blinds business where he goes into other people's houses, and the town that I teach in is a town that is part of his territory. So a lot of my students' parents know him, know me because of that. And I watched him grow that business, and he had a lot of time freedom that if he needed time off to take my son to school in the morning, he didn't book his appointments. And that time freedom is something that you don't have in the 40-hour work week. Yeah. And a lot of people are doing this now. I've actually just ventured out and become a district manager and independent consultant with a company called Arbonne. They are a health, wellness, skincare, and cosmetics company, and they believe in pure, safe, and beneficial products for the whole family. And my eyes were opened when I started using some of their products, and I realized all of the things that we are putting on our skin and not realizing. Everybody's eating gluten-free and organic, and that's great, but the things that you put in your body you have a filter, a liver and kidneys that filtered out, but when you put it on your skin, it doesn't get filtered by your liver and your kidneys. And so that was really eye-opening to me. So I know people that are doing online virtual businesses, when they get home in their free time when their child goes to bed, they do an hour of online. A lot of people are building businesses online.
And do you see a lot of teachers that what's the breakdown when they retire? Is it a pension? Is it some kind of just 401k that just starts to come to them? How does it all work when they're on the tail end of teaching?
Well, I have a lot of teacher friends that I know that I started teaching with in Saddle Brook that have just recently retired, and some have strictly retired and are collecting their pension. And we don't have 401k, we have 403b, but they're reaching into that as well. And then I have some that are collecting their pension and doing stuff, part-time, adjunct professors, or some are running their own businesses on the side, with SAT prep and things like that. And they're very good at what they do because they've been in the field for years and they know students, they know how to get them to that point, and they have been growing their business while they were actually teaching because all of the things they learned about the SAT test and how it's changed, and those become side businesses when you're retired. Because there are a lot of people that are retiring earlier. They're not waiting, until they've been there 40 years anymore. And so they're still young. They want to go out. They want to do things. And they're doing these other.
Now, do you find that a lot of teachers are within the area of where they live? Or do you see a lot of teachers driving an hour, 2 hours to get to work because they can't find jobs of any sort?
I have the full gamut. I have a couple of teachers that I work with that live in Saddle Brook. I have some teachers that, are just approaching the edge of New Jersey. They're traveling that far, but they wanted, it's not so much they couldn't find the job. They had the job and then they were looking for, housing that they could afford that wasn't so, crowded. So I have, some colleagues that have gone out into the more rural areas and wanted space, and wanted to raise their kids out and about. And, some of the areas that, at least around Saddle Brook where I teach, it's harder to purchase a home and afford the taxes and the things that come along with the home. So I've had, I myself commuted for, an hour commute at one point in my career. But if you like your job, it's easier just to get a different place to live than to change your job.
And is that something that really drives teachers or people who are going to college, is that they want to give back to teaching the younger kids? Is that something that's in your mindset when
that's the whole reason you become a teacher. I mean, if you ask any teacher out there, they did not become a teacher because they thought, wow, I need a job where I have my summer off, because the average person does not have their summer off. And as said to you, we really don't have our summers off. We're doing something involving children or making money. And you're not going to be wealthy from teaching.
Right.
I mean, you will make a good salary. The starting salaries in New Jersey have really climbed. And if you have higher education degrees and you've been in one place for a long time, you'll rise up the ladder. But people don't get into education for that. They have a desire to make an impact on kids. They love being around kids. And that's what their heart feeds off of.
And do you find that the kids come back to you after they graduate from middle school, high school, college? Do they ever come back?
We have a unique situation because our middle school and our high school are in the same building. And so they leave middle school and they go on to high school and they're constantly back at your door, popping their head in saying, "Hi, Mrs. Militello." One of the coach that I teach with, the teacher that I coach with, she is a guidance counselor now, but she was a high school biology teacher in the same building. And we came out to the tennis courts the other day, and there was a note on the tennis courts, because we have a sign of when practices are. There was a note on the tennis court saying, "Hi, Mrs. Gherkin, we really miss you. we love you." But they're at college. They're home for the summer, and they're just leaving notes. They come back.
Always.
Yes.
That's good. Well, we're coming to the end of our show. And
wow.
Usually I ask my guests, what advice do you want to give to the sons and daughters that are going to college and they want to become teachers? What advice do you want to give to those people?
I have some specific teacher advice, and I also have some general education advice. Choose a college that is not going to break the bank. You know, the state schools in New Jersey are excellent, and when you get out of college, you don't want to be buried in debt. You know, it makes it hard to do things that you enjoy. It makes it more pressure on you to have, you know, I have to get a job. You know, when will I get this job? Because sometimes you don't get the dream job right out of college. If you're going to be in education, you plan to be a teacher, do summer jobs all through high school and college that involve students, that involve kids, that get you experience and you learn how to deal with different age groups of students, because you don't know where you'll. I thought I was going to be elementary and I'm middle school, you know, and I'm coaching high school. So you need to, you know, stay in state if you're going to be a teacher and you plan on coming home to live with your parents, which I recommend. Live with your parents as long as you can after college. Stay in state then, because it's going to be easier to get, like I said, that teacher certification done. You won't have to switch over from one state to the other. Yeah, I would say stay local. Be smart about the money you spend, and plan some idea for an alternate stream of income on the side, because you'll want it.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
I'm
Appreciate it.
glad to be here.
Good. So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.